You are running through a forest. It is late at night and the sky is black as pitch. There's nothing to light your way save for the moon's milky glow, but its rays cannot reach you, not properly. The trees which surround you, jutting out of the earth like eerie monuments to a foreign god, are blotting out most of the light. You cannot see where you are going. Even if you had commenced your flight at a more sensible hour, however, with the light of the sun to aid you, it would be of little use. You do not know where you are going. You have no map, no route, no plan. You are running like a frightened animal, anxious and nervy, with no destination in mind. You have no desire, as you run, save to escape. You cannot let yourself be caught. If that were to happen, you are certain that you would be ruined. You have no choice, therefore, but to keep going, on and on and on, though your feet are screaming at you for mercy. You have no idea how long you've been running. Time has begun to blend together. It has lost all meaning. Mood. Something sharp snags at the hem of your skirt, but you do not have the luxury to pause and examine what has happened. Instead, you tug. Your skirt tears, the sound splitting through the forest, and stumble forwards with a shocked gasp. And you stumble forwards with a shocked gasp. Damn. It's sad how I can just, like, miss a word or something when reading and make it sound worse than how it sounds, than how it should sound. You are free, but at what cost? Your skirt has been irrevocably damaged. Irrevocably damaged. English is my first language. My only language, in fact. It might be too late to worry about such trivial matters now, though. If you do not start running again, and soon she will catch you. Irrevocably sounds more like how I've heard it before. But if I just want to pronounce things how I read them, it would not be that. You got to hear both ways. Then your life will be over. You do not know if she wishes... You do not know if she is still following you, but you do not want to risk looking over your shoulder. If you were to see her, silhouetted beneath a tree, looking at you with that sickly sweet smile which once ensnared you, you would lose what little nerve you possess. Ebihime is from UK. Interesting. Your legs would lock up and your blood would freeze in your veins. Then you would crumple. You would fall, but you would not hit the ground. She would be there to catch you. Hello, Kari Suzuno. Thank you for joining me. Did she not promise, when you made that contract, that you would never be alone? You would like to take back that silly wish of yours, but it is too late for that. It is too late for a lot of things. Hello, Davy Valentine. Thank you for joining me. All you can do is run. Oh shit. I accidentally scrolled up, didn't I? You run and run and run and run while icy fog swirls about your feet. It is cold enough to sap the heat from your body, and you shoulder it, and you shudder from it. Holy shit, I'm so sorry. It feels as though you are drowning. It feels as though you are being buried alive. Your knees and your shins, meanwhile, are bleeding. You cannot endure much more of this. But if you value your own life, you must. You run and run and run until, at long last, you reach a fork in the road. There are 3 paths which split off through the forest. Well, 4 if you count the path down which you came. You cannot exactly double back on yourself, though. Not when you have put so much effort into running forwards. You can only press on. The 3 paths are signposted, which is something of a strange sight, given you are so deep in the forest. Dark though it might be, you have grown accustomed to the shadows. You can just about pick out the writing on this old, dilapidated signpost, curved and slanted though it is. Your fate, if you will forgive me for sounding cliché, is in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Oh no. Time to start save scumming. This is a single character game? No, there are more characters. I don't think that... I'm not sure if there will ever be more than one present at one time, but there are definitely more characters. I mean, I don't know if there will ever be more than 2 present at one time, but there are definitely multiple characters. Yeah. Yeah, that's... I love doing that. But I think these characters are all girls. I think I'm... fine on my own for now. To the shore, to the village, or to the castle. I do need to practice my girl voice. Oh, you said e-girl voice. I see. Okay, 1 for village, 1 for castle. I wonder, will there be a tiebreaker? Or will someone just go and say shore just to even it up? Hello, Sexy Observer. Yeah. Yeah, good to see you. Where do you think I should go? Like Mirai, he said castle. Davy said village. Do you want to make it cursed and say shore? So it's like a three-way tie. I hope the audio is okay. You can hear the game's music and everything. I don't have a coin that I can flip. Okay, then flip one. Heads village, tails castle. Tails. All right then. We're going to the castle this time. So, you want to go to the castle? Good idea. All decent fairy tales tend to conclude in castles once their beleaguered, put-upon heroines are finally able to wed the handsome princes they once dreamed of. Why bother trying your luck with the shore, which may very well be deserted, or the village, which will be full of dirty, barefoot peasants? It is far better to skip the suffering and go straight to the grand finale. That is very astute of you. I did not realize you had it in you to be so mercenary. I can only wonder what you will uncover during your moonlight meanderings. Meanderings? Meanderings, we're going with that. The night is far from over, and your adventures are only just beginning. I hope only that you have brushed up on your curtsies. They might come in handy when one is interacting with a sovereign. Royals can be temperamental, after all. If you fail to treat them with the prerequisite amount of respect, you might come to regret it. You follow the path which leads to the castle, supporting yourself on weary, aching legs which feel ready, at a moment's notice, to detach from your hips. You are little more than a wisp of a girl, but you have been running for so very long, and your feet are so very numb. You feel like a great lumbering thing, clumsy and ungainly. The soles of your feet are screaming at you. You need to lie down, and quickly. You only hope, as you continue to run, that you will find a spare room available for you in the castle. She won't. You do not know what exactly will await you at the castle, but you have visions as you run of a vast, opulent dwelling, The writing style is kind of uncanny. I like it. Perfect for my stupid voice. This dwelling will surely be full of finely furnished rooms in which you might rest your weary head. There must also be a king and a queen inside this castle, you ponder, who will be kind and wise. And what of their children? What of a princess? Every good castle must possess a princess who will take pity on you and your plight. You can imagine the face of this generous princess with ease, thanks to the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child. The princess will be fair of hair and blue of eye, with soft pink lips, pursed like rosebuds. Her limbs will be slender, her hands dainty and unsullied from physical labor, and her sensibilities will be sweeter than marzipan. She will be kind to you and compassionate, just like an older sister. You do not know what older sisters are like, though, or younger sisters for that matter. You are only guessing. You are not a complete fool, however, despite your tendency to daydream, and you do have a few reservations. Monarchs do not, as you know from voracious reading, have the best track record when it comes to caring for the peasantry. Was there not a very famous queen who once said, with a cavalier wave of her hand, that the hungry peasants in her kingdom should content themselves with cake and bread? With cake if bread was not an option? You think that this might be a misquote, but the point still stands. Well, I'm happy to benefit from all this writing. Right now. The royals are supposed to grant their subjects succor in their time of need. This does not always happen. In fact, it very rarely happens. Kings and queens and princesses and princes are just people at the end of the day, and they are subject to the same caprices that all humans are. Someone buzz me if we ever make it to the castle. Take your time. They can also be careless and selfish and inconsiderate. There's no guarantee that this mythical princess of your imagination will help you. Why? There's no guarantee that this mythical princess exists at all. Still, you must try. It is this hope which keeps you going. You continue to run to the castle. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally you do it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time had begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares which dwelt within it. Castle is infinitely close to you, but you can never actually reach it. Oh no. It is so cold, though, and foggy, and very, very dark. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now, though, as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl, or orb, or crystal ball. The moonlight shines down upon the castle, which looms in front of you like a cliffside. The stone edifice of the building is imposing, and it drowns you in shadows darker than the depths of the deepest ocean. The castle is not all dark, though. Not like the night sky above it. The castle is not all dark, though. Not like the night's sky above it. When you crane your head, you can see that there are lights flickering within, in the narrow, slitted windows. It would appear that somebody is home. The king and the queen, perhaps? What of their servants? What, perhaps, more pressingly, of their guards? Hello, Yagi! Thank you so much for joining me! You half expect, as he stands there, that armored knights will accost you for daring to approach the castle of King and Queen so-and-so. Do you not know your place, foolish peasant girl with the dirty skirt? Begone with you! You are not, of course, a peasant. Your family is a wealthy one, or rather, they were, before your father made a series of poor financial decisions. You do not look like a young lady right now, though, with your dirty face and your dirty skirt, which is torn at the hem. If any guards were to take you for a vagrant, it would not be surprising. But, though you stand here dithering, your filthy fingers hooked in front of your filthy skirt, you do not hear any cries. I misread that. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We move on. Nobody sounds the alarm. Lights might be on inside the castle, but there is nobody outside of its perimeter standing sentry. There is nobody to impede your entry, and the elaborate iron gates, which are set into the vast stone walls about the castle exterior, are open, just a crack. It would be a trivial matter to slip inside. There's nobody to stop you. Why are you trembling now, you silly thing? You have come so very far. It would be an act of foolishness to turn around now. Go on, go. You inhale, perhaps in an attempt to screw up your courage, which has, at long last, begun to fail you. And then you step forwards. You slide between the wrought iron gates as stealthy and as secretive as a thief, then cross the path which leads to the tall, imposing structure. The domed doorway which leads into the castle itself, hewn with stone, is closed. Hewn from stone is closed. I don't know why I thought it said with. Wow. Moving on. But at a push of your palm, it swings inwards. The door creaks alarmingly as it opens, the sound loud enough to split the silence like a thunderclap. You inhale at this and glance around, your eyes darting hither and thither. If there are any guards posted about the castle's grounds, they should all have been alerted by that sound. Will they come for you at long last? What will happen should they catch you? Will they throw you in the dungeons? That does not sound like a pleasant way to spend a night. At least you would have a roof over your head, though, and you would not have to keep walking. Your feet really do ache. You stand there for an indeterminable amount of time, your heart pounding a panicked, irregular rhythm in the base of your throat. But no matter how much time elapses, no guards come. You are thankful for your good luck, though it does make you wonder, where is everybody? I say interminable, and I've read that as well. I feel like indeterminable must be rarer, or I've been misreading all these years. I'm sure both are fine, though. They are equally wards. Maybe. Like, again, I might have been... They mean different things? Interesting. I assumed they were, synonyms just because... Or different spellings of the same word just because they tends to be used in the same places. I'll have to look that up later. Where is everybody? Why, it is almost as if all the people in the world have disappeared. Could you be the very last human left alive? You frown, then press your palm back against the door. Interminable is like endless or goes on forever. Indeterminable is like unable to be identified. So in some cases, they both apply. Ah, interesting. Yeah, I always see them used in the same places, but I probably just didn't notice when they were different because I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I've ever seen indeterminable before. You push less cautiously this time, heedless of the loud sound which splits the silence. There's no point in worrying about the guards, not when they might very well be non-existent. Your entry to the castle secured, you then take a step forwards. The door swings shut behind you, and the resulting slam makes you jump. You did not expect it. Your heart knocks against your ribs, and with wild eyes you glance about. You are standing in a vast entrance hall made of stone which splits off into any number of passages. At the very end of the hall, meanwhile, there is a large elaborate staircase, one which seems to extend to the heavens themselves. It is dark inside the hall, but there are numerous torches set in sconces in the stone wall, which are aflame. They offer some relief from the shadows. You can hear the faint sound of the wind outdoors, as it moans against the castle's impervious walls, but you cannot hear any footsteps. You cannot hear any voices. You cannot, more importantly, hear any people. Maybe the castle is empty. If that is the case, though, then who lit these torches? It is a curious conundrum. You muster up what remains of your courage, then cry out, addressing the empty hall in timorous voice which fails to properly fill the space. "Hello," you say, your eyes wide. "Is anybody there?" Your voice echoes through the vast empty hall, but it is met, yet again, with silence. You cannot say you are too surprised, but it is somewhat disappointing. Not one to be deterred, you try again and again, your voice growing louder with each subsequent attempt. No matter how loud your voice, however, it fails to reach any ears. If anybody is here, they do not seem to be particularly sociable. That, or perhaps they simply cannot hear you. Could they be in another room? Yes, that must be it. You will never find that pretty fairy tale princess of your imagination if you stand idle, you know. It is time to get to work. Put those legs of yours to good use. But I thought you needed to rest them. Not knowing what else to do. Is there anything else you can do? You begin to explore. You examine the rooms first on the ground floor of the castle, which are of a similar scale to the impressive entrance hall, large and richly furnished, but utterly unoccupied. After some time of aimless meandering, encountering nobody save the ghosts of aeons past, memorialized as on portraits upon the walls, you muster the courage to ascend to the second floor. This floor, too, you examine, wandering through a seemingly endless series of hallways until, at long last, you find a door which is ajar. From between the crack in the door and the jamb, you can see flickering light. Irregular, yes, but it is light nonetheless. Could it be from a fireplace? That would suggest, then, that this room is occupied, unlike all the others. Perhaps the kindly princess you dreamed of will be awaiting you in this room. It is with a trembling hand that you press your palm against the door. You push it. Then you step inside the bedchamber which unveils itself to you. Shyly, you stand in the threshold of the chamber, much of your courage extinguished, and gasp. The bedroom itself is gorgeous. It is a chamber so luxuriant not even the shadows can obscure the fine craft of the furniture within it, nor the rich patterns on the walls. It is the girl inhabiting the chamber, however, who truly takes your breath away. Sitting upon the velveteen sheets of the towering four-poster is a girl in a sumptuous red gown who seems to be of a like age to you. You do not have a clear view of the girl's face. Her head is bowed, her gaze directed downwards at her lap. You can tell from her hair, however, and from her slender calves which protrude from beneath the hem of her dress, that she is very pretty. The girl's hair is golden, just like freshly cut wheat, but it is the red of her dress which truly captures your attention. She is so striking you cannot look away from her. The girl is not alone in her chamber either. She has a companion, though this companion is not half so endearing as she. In her lap, perched upon her velvet skirt, is a doll. The doll's hair, like that of her mistress's, is golden, though much of it is hidden beneath the bonnet. The girl is adjusting the china teacup held in the doll's tiny hand, while the rim of the cup glints in the light which exudes from the fireplace. If the girl is of a similar age to you, it seems strange that she would content herself by playing with dolls. Is she not too old for it? Never. This girl would be more at home, you decide, at a ball, wearing an extravagant gown, speaking with wealthy noblemen, perhaps even princes. She should not be sitting in what you presume is her bedchamber, adjusting a teacup in a doll's hand. But you are not afforded much more time to stand there marveling at the girl, because she turns. She raises her head. Then her eyes meet yours. You thought the girl pretty when first you observed her, sitting on the edge of her plush velveteen bed, examining her doll. Now she is looking at you, however, her face illuminated by the flames in their grate. You can see that you were mistaken. She's not just pretty. She's beautiful. So much so, it is breathtaking. She looks as though she has stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She's simply too perfect to belong to this world. Perhaps she is some kind of vision, a waking dream, a hallucination. But no, she's none of those things. The doll in her lap is a cold, hard thing made of porcelain, and it is unflinchingly, reassuringly real. If she were a mirage, surely she would not be able to handle physical objects such as this. It is strange, though. The doll, though immaculately made, looks oddly imperfect when compared to the girl who is holding it. She's so startlingly beautiful. She even puts man-made representations of feminine charms to shame. This side of her makes you feel rather weak. You always have had a fondness for fair maidens, haven't you? You are rather hopeless when it comes to them, even worse than in knight-errants from the courtly legends. Your aesthetic appreciation is not particularly ladylike, but... well... it is not every day a girl encounters an elegant beauty like this, attired in red, illuminated by the firelight. I suppose I can forgive you for this rudeness, as too can the girl. She does not seem to be the type to hold a grudge. Oh no. It's time. I wonder... Mod chat, what's going on in here? Ignore what I just said. Okay. Okay, 1 second. Nah. I'm not gonna bug anyone about this. Oh, I don't even know how much dialogue there will be. Oh, I thought of trying to get someone in to voice act for me, but I don't know how much dialogue there will be. There's a lot of narration, but I don't think there's much dialogue. So I think I'll stay on my own for now with this, with the voice acting. Oh, the girl says, in a voice that, surprisingly enough, far less refined than her appearance. It is good to see you. I've been waiting. Has she? That is news to you. You blink, perplexed, a response on the tip of your tongue, but you are unable to expel it into the ether. The girl is setting her doll aside. Then she stands, the hem of her dress swishing about her legs. Nimbly, like a ballerina, she canvasses the space between you. Her room is very large. There's quite a lot of space. Thank you! I'd offer myself up if I wasn't in awful head hort mode. Oh no. I hope your head feels better soon. Thank you, Yagi, for redeeming the hydrate. I shall hydrate presently. I'm gonna need it. Then takes your hands in her own. Hopefully. You must, the girl says, her eyes aglow with excitement. Be my new lady's maid! It's been a while, but it's such a relief that you finally arrived. I knew that you would. You'd never leave me alone. Not when you knew how long I was waiting. Oh, I'm so happy. The girl's good mood is contagious. So much so that you find yourself being swept away in it. You are tempted to accept any identity she might press upon you. You have never been a maid before, but you might not mind being this girl's maid. She does not seem like a poor mistress to serve, not if she is always this kind. You cannot mask the confusion, however, which flickers across your face. You are not a good enough actress, and in any case, this is all happening too quickly. Why, you barely know this girl. Why is she being so familiar? So very familiar. It is with blank bovine eyes that you examine the girl. Your befuddlement is pronounced enough that even the girl, despite her good mood, notices it. She frowns. Uh-oh. Hello, Mia! Thank you so very much for joining me. That's a fun game. It was recommended me by a friend. Yeah, I am in the visual novel mood lately, it seems. I really like providing my crappy voiceover and voice acting. And it's like having nothing more to do than point and click. Yes. I'm actually a kind of lazy. And even pointing and clicking can get hard sometimes. She frowns. Then she says, her fingers sliding away from your own. Or am I mistaken? Are you not my new lady's maid after all? The disappointment in the girl's face is abundant. So much so, your heart clenches. Aw. You do not know her. she is still a stranger, but you are struck, all of a sudden, with the intense desire to appease her. You do not want to let her down. The thought is devastating. You are not aware, you tell her, that you had applied to be her maid. But if that is what she wills, you would not be opposed to it. You pray that she forgives you, though, for your discombobulation. You come from a distant country, and you have traveled for many miles. You know where you know not where you are. You know not where you are, and you do not know who she is. Sorry. What? You don't know who I am? It is regrettable, you tell her, but no, you do not know her, though that is no fault of her own. Why, you have spent such a long time running, you hardly even know yourself. Ah, you are a fugitive, then, from another country, I see. I won't pry into your past, then, if you'd rather forget about it. I don't mind sharing my past with you, though. Everybody in this country knows who I am, after all. Or at least they should. Now, this is quite the impressive boast. If it were to come from the lips of another, you would find it unpleasantly arrogant. You do not think, however, that this girl is trying to show off. You get the feeling, instead, that she is merely telling the truth. If you don't have the pleasure of knowing me, then allow me to do the honors. My father and my mother were the king and queen of this realm, and I am its princess. I've lived in this castle all my life, so I don't know much about the outside world, but I know that other countries do exist out there. I presume it is from one of these foreign countries that you come from. It is very good to meet you. I've always wanted to talk to somebody from overseas. It feels like quite the opportunity, hee. The girl giggles at this, and you smile in response. You tell her, unthinkingly, that it is your pleasure, really, to meet her, or at least, you mean to. You only get halfway through this remark when the full gravity of what the girl has told you sinks in. You come to a stop. You come to a stop. Then you stare. Then you stare. Did she just say she was a princess? Yes, that's right. I'm a princess, and one day I'll be queen. After I've done a little bit of growing up. My ministers don't think I'm ready to run the country just yet, but I've been doing my best at my lessons. One day, I'm sure I'll be the best queen there ever was. Raid incoming? Ooh, cool. You've just spoiled it for me. Wow, I'll pretend to be surprised though, don't worry. So, she really is a princess. That makes sense, you suppose, given she lives in a castle, but it comes as a surprise regardless. You hadn't known, before you entered this chamber, that you were trespassing on a lady of such great renown. Why, if she willed it, she could have you executed for your carelessness. An ugly red flush creeps up your face. A flush which is far more lurid than the princess's dress, as you look to your feet. Bashfully, you stammer out a new address. That you are very sorry for intruding upon her. And you hope that she can forgive you. Oh, it's all right. Think nothing of it. I don't mind, really. We all make mistakes, and anyway, you weren't to know. You said you weren't from around here? Oh. Welcome, raiders! Thank you so much, General Lord X, for the raid. Let me Wait, Davey, you shout General Lord X out, please. Yeah, it's nice to see you. I very much appreciate the raid. And yeah, welcome raiders. Yay. I managed to cheese all 3 Tower of Temptation bosses. Slugfish and Gargoyle got one shot by Heaven and Earthcut. Oh. Thank you, Chaotic Narrative, for the 369 nice bits. You nod your head in silent affirmation. It isn't a complete lie. I'm still recovering a bit from whatever upper respiratory illness I had, along with other stuff that sent me to the hospital. I tested to see my damage on Justin, about 6,900. That's 6,900. 6,900 nice damage from his Heaven and Earth cut with move level ups. Nice. Chronic asthma sounds terrible. You sounded good from what I heard, though. You really are not from this country. You are not from this world at all. How wonderful! I'll look forward to picking your brain later. Davey knows the strats. All of my servants come from the nearby village. Their tales are all the same, and so are their superstitions. I could do with a breath of fresh air. My last lady's maid told me I was too impetuous, but I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a bit of adventure. Adventure! Not that I've ever been afforded much of that. I've been shut up in here for so long. I hardly ever get the chance to talk to other girls my age. My last lady's maid was older than me, and so was the one before her, and the one before her. Some of the princess's fair mood seems to dissipate as she speaks, her expression turning by degrees into something rather more pensive. But I haven't seen any of my old lady's maids in a while. Or any of the other servants for that matter. Who keeps this place running? They've all disappeared. No, that is quite curious. How could a whole household full of servants simply disappear? That I don't know. This castle was full of servants once. My lady's maids, and my undermaids, and my scullery maids, and my housekeeper, and my cooks, and a large retinue of retainers. They're all gone now, though. I think my ministers must have sent them away. I don't know why they would have done that, though. They didn't explain it to me. But then again, they never explained anything to me. They still treat me like a little girl. It is so tiring. Come on, she's a princess. And she lives in a big fuck-off castle in the middle of nowhere, apparently. The castle itself requires substantial maintenance. So, who the fuck is keeping this place running now? She said that her ministers sent her servants away? What of her parents, the king and the queen? Would they not be the ultimate authorities in the castle's hierarchy? They would, yes, if they were still alive. But they're not. They died a long time ago. I was raised for most of my life by the servants. Oh, you answer. And then you flush. You hadn't known. It's all right. You don't need to apologize. I'm just happy that I have you now. I was getting sick and tired of only having my dolls to speak to. They aren't the best conversational partners. You can imagine so, yes. You doubt any doll, even one made by a talented artisan, with an intelligent face face indistinguishable from a human's, would be very good at answering back. Oh no, they aren't. They're hopeless at it, really. They're so stony-lipped. You've no idea how much of a relief it is to see you. This castle is so big, and without my servants, it feels so very empty. It gets so lonely here. No, that is an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside your head like a burr. Have you heard it before? It's the name of this game. It gets so lonely here. I say game, I should say visual novel. You do not have much time to ponder this, however, because the princess is speaking anew, in that curiously conversational manner of hers, which does not seem particularly princessy. Maybe she learned how to speak from her servants. That would explain why her consonants are so unrefined. Oh, but listen to me yammering on again. It is a bad habit. I really must put a stop to it. Holy shit. You're probably tired, dear one, from your travels. Would you like me to show you to your room? Yes, the princess announces before you can say anything in reply. I think I'll do just that. I might show you a bit around the castle first, though. It's like amazing here, and I wouldn't want you getting lost. You'll be staying here for quite some time after all. Uh-oh. The princess then hastens to take you on a tour of her home. Fortunately, she does not show all the rooms in her abode, and neither does she offer overly long descriptions as to what the few rooms she does show you are used for. She does, however, pause by the kitchens, whereat she offers you some victuals. Once the growling in your belly has been satisfied, the princess then resumes her journey. She leads you down a dark, twisting hallway and up a series of equally dark, twisting steps until she arrives, at long last, before a door. The princess pushes this door aside summarily, thus permitting you entrance to a small, humble bedchamber. This chamber is not half so opulent as the grand bedroom in which the princess resides, with its resplendent four-poster and its richly patterned wallpaper. This room's ceiling is not as high, and the singular bed shoved against the wall is thin and narrow. Yo, just like my bed for real. The walls are an unassuming beige, and the floor beneath your soles is of warped wood. There's a malodorous scent, too, which hangs in the air, one of disuse and general decay. You get the feeling that nobody has slept in this room for quite some time. That might explain why it feels so very cold in here. Though, if the princess's tour of her castle has taught you anything, it is that it is cold in every room in her abode. Now here we are, the final stop of our tour. This will be your room, dear one. I hope it's to your liking. The princess, despite her exalted status, looks somewhat uneasy as she observes you, her eyes upturned like those of a loyal dog's. Is she concerned about your reaction to this room? Perhaps she is afraid you will turn your nose up at her kindness. Oh, thank you. For a princess, she is awfully eager to please. This unexpected contrast between the princess's lofty title and her ingratiating attitude makes you smile. The room is rather scanty, yes, when it comes to its contents, but it is more than passable. It has a roof and 4 walls, and though it is cold, you fancy you will feel warmer once you have slipped beneath the bed's sheets. The room is not quite so fancy as your dormitory at the conservatoire. Fuck. That's a French word, that, like, with very obvious French-derived spelling. Going to lurk now as I need to get some house jobs done. And check on the kitten. Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for the lurk. And, yeah. You check on that kitten. Conservatoire. Is that how you pronounce this? Or is it like conservatory? Conservatoire? Conservatoire? I don't fucking know. Conservatoire? Interesting. French really is the devil's tongue. Even if my my language my one language that I know is made half up of it. And neither is it so large, but it does have one glaring improvement over your previous lodgings. You will not be expected to share it with anybody else. There is only one bed in this room, and this bed is to belong to you. You think that the peace and the quiet will do you a world of good. You tell the princess as much, and she smiles. That's good. I was worried you wouldn't like it. Hee. I know it isn't much to look at, but it's one of the nicest servants' rooms we have in the castle. Most of the maids sleep beneath the roof, in this teeny tiny room which is all cramped. There's tens of beds up there, and they're so close together, there's barely any room to pass between them. That sounds horrible. I thought it was perfectly ghastly when I saw it. The last time I went up there. Not that I was supposed to be up there. It was a rainy day and I couldn't go outdoors, so I was doing a bit of exploring. If the housekeeper had known I'd been skulking around, I don't think she would have... I think she would have been best pleased. Oh my god. If the housekeeper had known I'd been skulking around, I don't think she would have been best pleased. Well, in any case, nobody sleeps up there anymore. The scullery mates are all gone now. I couldn't put you up there, though, in the attic, with all those empty beds. I didn't think it'd be very cheery. You're not just a scullery maid, you're my lady's maid. That means you deserve good lodgings. It'd be an insult to offer you any less than this. Now, it's getting late. You'll have to forgive me for rabbiting on. I've heard it's something I tend to do. It's a bad habit, one that's unbecoming for a lady. The housekeeper has warned me enough times. You reassure the princess to the contrary, smiling as you do so. You do not mind if she talks too much. That is better than not talking at all. Her affable nature makes it easier to spend time with her. Manners be damned. You were always scolded too, back in the conservatoire, for your behavior. You know full well how aggravating it can be to be upbraided, not for any particular misdemeanor, but for being yourself. Well, I'm glad you understand, the princess answers with a giggle. I should really be off, though. It's bad manners to keep you, especially when you look so sleepy. Get some rest. We can talk more tomorrow. If you don't mind my ceaseless prattle. I'm glad you seem to appreciate it at least. Though I'm sure you'll get tired of it eventually. All of my old mates did. The princess departs, and in her absence, you take a seat upon the bed. Your new bed. Music is good, yeah, I like it. You cannot help but think that this is all happening very quickly. Does not seem like very long ago you were still in the forest running for your life amongst the tall, imposing trees with their gnarled, grasping branches. Reminds me of hidden object games. The forest might as well be a distant memory now, though. You're indoors, inside a castle no less, and you have been given a room in which to sleep and clothes that you might wear. It seems premature still to declare that you are out of the woods. In a metaphorical sense, I mean. But things could certainly be worse. You force yourself to stand on legs which feel too weary to support you, and change into the night clothes hanging in the wardrobe. The night clothes do not fit you perfectly, but you're too tired to care about that. You're too tired to care about much of anything. You retreat to the bed and slide beneath its sheets. Then you let your eyelids fall shut. You exhale. And, lulled by the breeze which blows outdoors, you fall asleep. You are so very tired. Your sleep is a deep, dark one, darker even than the furthest abysses of the nighttime. Like the nighttime sky, however, which shimmers with stars, your sleep is not devoid of those prismatic fragments you humans call dreams. Though, in this case, I rather think your nocturnal imaginings are worth rather more than that. They are not dreams, are they, to which your slumbering mind is subjected? You know that they are not. Otherwise, your body would not be so very cold. Not so clammy. The images that flicker beneath your closed eyelids, like the ghostly images in a Phenakistoscope? What? Phenakistoscope. Okay. We're not conjured from within your minds. Isn't it fun listening to me struggle with words in my own native language? I'm assuming that's English. I mean, it's obviously not of English origin, but wait, maybe it is. Fuck if I know. I'm not kind of linguist. I just use this language, cling to it desperately as I live my life. They were instead taken from your memories. You are not merely dreaming, you are remembering. You remember the girls who slept in your dormitory, and how they always hastened to use the showers first, so you were last for breakfast. You remember how, when you finally did arrive at the dining hall, the most desirable morsels had already been snaffled up by the girls who got there earlier. You struggled, too, to find a seat, once you finally get your hands on some food. Once you finally did get your hands on some food. Because nobody ever wanted to sit with you. Holy shit. The other girls all acted like you were a leper, save for when they wanted favors. They never asked for these favors, mind. Or why would they? To them, your father's prestige did not matter. They were all wealthy ladies, too. Many of them wealthier than you. When everybody has the airs and graces of a princess, how is anybody supposed to stand out? I will be right back. All right, then. Well, I'm back. Thank you! When everybody has the airs and graces of a princess, how is anybody supposed to stand out? You stood out the least in your class, perhaps because you were one of the smallest, the frailest, the sickliest, who always came down with colds in the winter. Your poor health did not stop the other girls from treating you as a servant, though, when they remembered that you existed, of course. It was your lot in life, as you dwelt within the stone walls of the conservatoire, to carry school bags across the field, like a pack mule. Then, come the evenings, the girls in your dormitory had you sewing on missing buttons and ironing out the creases and wrinkles in their uniforms. If there was an odd job that needed performing, you would always be asked. But these girls... What? Nope, I didn't want to do that. You would always be asked. But these girls did not ask you. That would have been too civilized. They ordered you instead, and as they ordered you, they laughed at you. They laughed and laughed and laughed, etc. The laughter hurt, but it hurt considerably less than the kicks did, and the slaps and the pinches. Once, during an embroidery lesson, one of your classmates had an accident with her sewing scissors. She stumbled, or at least she pretended to, and before you knew it, the silvery blades of the scissors were embedded in your left palm. This happened quite some time ago, when you were even littler than you are now, but you can still remember it. It hurt a lot. The scissors were sharp, and they perforated your skin. Not all the way down to the bone, but enough to bleed. Your wound bled bright red, like strawberry jam, all over your embroidery. Aww. Then, when your professor saw it, she shrieked. Her face turned as pale as whey, and she looked for a few moments as though she might faint, though you were the one who was in pain. Your professor looked at your face. She could not bear to look at your hand, then demanded to know why you could not be more careful. Her tone had been an accusatory one, almost as if you had stabbed yourself in the hand with your scissors to goad her. The pain in your hand hurt, but the giggles of your persecutors hurt all the more. Let me check something. Okay. They never were punished for that. Perhaps your professor did not care enough to punish them. Perhaps she, like everybody else, thought it was all your fault. Okay, the tracking seems fine. The wound, when all was said and done, was not too deep. It did not even need any stitches. It healed well enough in time on its own, though it still left a scar, a white raised thing like a crescent moon. You still have that scar. You do not know how much blood you lost. It seemed like a lot back in the classroom. You'd smell it in the air, sharp as iron, but could not have been that much, evidently. If your wound had been more serious, perhaps your professor might have cared. Perhaps your classmates, too, would have felt some modicum of guilt over what they did. But this seems very unlikely. You know that your blood meant nothing to your classmates. Why should it? You meant next to nothing. Then the blood in your veins was, if such a thing is possible, even more inconsequential. You meant next to nothing. Then the blood in your veins was. Okay, let's move on from this. You feel disoriented when you awake, at long last, with the rising of the sun. You do not remember what you dreamt, but you do not think that your dreams were of a particularly pleasant nature. If they were, your heart would not be hammering so. Ill at ease, you glance around. You are lying in a narrow bed in an unremarkable room, one with dull beige walls and a warped wooden floor. Where exactly are you? This does not look like your dormitory in the conservatoire. Not unless it has shrunk threefold overnight. Your brow furrows as you attempt to recall the events of the night prior, until, with a gasp, it all clicks into place. You remember now. You were running through the woods, trying to escape from... You shudder. You do not want to think of what it was you were trying to escape from. You presume that you must have given your hunter the slip, though, because you're still in one piece, awake and alert enough to face the dawning of a new morning. You still have all your limbs, and your facial features appear to be in the correct configuration. That's always good. That is more than enough to get along with. That is more than enough to be getting along with. You look at the foot of your bed, then blink, bemused at your discovery. You can see, lying upon the sheets, a garment, two garments actually, of black and white, folded into a neat white square. What could that be? A maid's outfit? If so, it would not be too surprising. You can now recall your visit with the princess the night prior, and her assertions that you must be her lady's maid. Well, if that is the role she wants you to assume, you have no qualms with it. It is far preferable to the other role you played last night. That of a startled quarry, running from its pursuer. You press your fingers against the humble maid's attire. It feels surprisingly soft to the touch, not coarse like you expected. These clothes are rather fine. Did the princess put them here? If so, that is all the more reason to wear them. You are not so churlish. You are not churlish enough to deny her hospitality. You rise from your new bed, then undress yourself, unbuttoning the front of your plain white nightgown and setting it aside. This task accomplished, you then clad yourself in your new attire, black, white, and eminently sensible. You feel very far away from the girl you once were. Your face might be the same as always, but something within you seems to have changed. You are no longer a student, not as long as you mean to reside within the princess's castle. You would far rather be your servant. Assured of your newfound identity, you retreat from your chamber, then make your way to your mistress's bedroom. The castle is a large one with many, many rooms and many, many hallways to connect them, and for a brief while you find yourself horrendously lost. You cannot remember where the princess's bedroom is. You're beginning to feel rather disoriented when, to your relief, your eyes snag upon a stairwell which looks rather familiar. Could this be the way? You ascend these steps, your footfalls cushioned by the plush carpet which lines them. Then, find your way down the very same hall you traversed the night prior. If your memory does not fail you, then the princess's bedroom ought to be... Yes, it is here! You rap upon the door but receive nothing in the way of a response. Is the princess still abed? You wonder, briefly, whether you oughtn't wait until she has risen of her own accord. But no. The sun is high in the sky, and it would seem a shame to let the princess sleep through the day. You ought instead to rouse her. That seems like the sort of duty a lady's maid should attend to. You enter the princess's bedroom and glance about. The room looks much the same as you remember from the night prior, though the ceiling seems even higher when viewed in the wan morning's light. You can see, now, that there are fewer shadows to impede your view, how very opulent your young mistress's abode is. Her armoire is large and imposing, as is the grate in which you will be expected to keep a fire lit during the nights. The princess herself, meanwhile, is curled on her bed, on her side, beneath the sheets, looking rather grandiose. Looking rather less grandiose than her title would suggest. Hello, Manic Landizzy. Thank you so much for joining me. I haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you. It's always good to see you. I'm over here lending my poor voiceover to this visual novel, which is the thing I enjoy doing lately. She is attired in a nightgown adorned with frills, and her hair is split across her pillow like spilled gold. Spilt across her pillow like spilled gold. Okay. In her slender arms, meanwhile, held to her chest, is a doll, the very same one she was cossetting last night. I don't know how to pronounce that. Forgive me. Lurking as I am watching a movie with my girlfriend and boyfriends. Nice! Which movie, if you don't mind my asking? I like movies. But please enjoy your lurk. You suppose this doll must be your favorite. Idly, you wonder what the doll's name is, though you do not suppose it matters all that much. It is time to wake your mistress. You call out to the princess, but she is largely unresponsive. Her eyelashes are still sewn tightly shut, and her lips pursed in slumber. You purse your lips too, and sigh. Well, nobody ever said your job would be easy. Once again, you call to the princess, and this time she replies. Her response is not a favorable one, however. She sighs, then turns away from you, her doll clutched to her chest. Just give me a little longer. The princess sounds so enfeebled, but you do not take pity on her. If you have learned anything from the conservatoire, save for knowledge pertaining to the respiratory tracts of fish, it is that one must be cruel to be kind. You do not think the adage was practiced with any great success in the conservatoire, but perhaps it will have more of an impact upon the princess. You tell her once again to wake up, more sternly this time. You will not let her sleep, for she has slept long enough already. It is very slovenly, really, to still be abed at such an hour. Oh no. Watch me. Oh! Defeated, the princess sighs. All right. I can see that I can't twist you around my little finger. I'm up. You don't need to nag me. Once you have roused the princess from her bed, and you have put her doll to one side, you set upon her toilet. Oh, toilet, like when you make a toilet. I've read books before. It's like any number of little things you might do in a bathroom and make your toilet. You aid the princess in the brushing of her hair, a chore to which she submits willingly, like a cat might allow its fur to be brushed. You allow yourself to ponder as you run the bristles of the princess's brush through her hair. How wonderfully soft it feels against your skin. Man, I have such a pleasant memory of my girlfriend brushing my hair. It's nice in general to have someone else brush your hair, especially if they're gentle with it. Anyway, Enough reminiscing. But a curious query from the princess. Are you all right, dear one? Brings you back to your senses. You were rather lost in thought there. Look lively now. You wouldn't want the princess to catch wind of your salacious thoughts, would you? Uh-oh. I thought that you had learned your lesson already. About that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll roll with that. Suitably chastened. You finish with the princess's hair, then set the brush aside. Now that the princess's tresses have been taken care of, you must start on her attire. The princess remains seated upon the edge of her bed, looking up at you askance. She does not ask you to avert your eyes, and nor does she make any motion of divesting herself of her nightgown. It really does seem as though she expects you to undertake this task on your own. Yeah, welcome to your new job. Is that all right? You ask the princess as much. You would not wish to impinge upon her modesty, but she only laughs. Yes, that's all right. It's what you're supposed to do if you're to be my lady's maid. I'm used to being dressed and undressed. I'm not a bit squeamish about it. She might not be squeamish about it, but you are. You have never seen a naked woman before excepting yourself. Even then, however, you have always dressed and undressed furtively, not wanting to examine your body for longer than is strictly necessary. You have never much liked the way you look. You make a few more mumbled objections, but the princess sweeps them to one side easily. It's all right. I might be a princess, but we're both people underneath all of our clothes. I doubt we look much different. You are not sure about that. You have not yet seen the princess unadorned, but you already know, to look at her face, that you are different. She is much, much prettier than you are. But she is waiting, and you do not wish to keep her any longer. You steady your nerves. Then, you reach out with trembling hands, and you begin to undo the buttons which run down the front of the princess's nightgown. You work as quickly as you are able, which, given how badly your hands are shaking, is not very. You fumble with a couple of the buttons, flinching as you do so. The princess, however, seems blissfully unaware of what it is exactly you are doing or not doing, for your fingers have begun to seize up with the front of her nightgown. She's not even looking at you. Instead, her gaze is directed beyond your shoulder, to the windowsill and sky beyond it. It isn't particularly sunny, but I don't think it's too cold outside. Going for a walk might not be a bad idea. What do you think, dear one? You think that you would like to finish undressing the princess as soon as possible, so you can make some progress on dressing her again. The sight of all this exposed skin is bad for your heart. Damn. Our protag is down bad. Fortunately, you are able to make quick work of the princess's nightgown, despite your initial mishaps, spurred on perhaps by your anxiety. You bid the princess to stand, which she does, and neatly she steps out of her nightgown, her motions once again as graceful and fluid as a dancer's. This task completed, you search hurriedly, worriedly for the princess's red dress. Where is it? You cannot find it. Sweat begins to prickle on the back of your neck. Your palms, meanwhile, feel uncomfortably clammy. That's because they are. The moments pass awkwardly, uneasily as you search. The princess standing there all the while as naked as the day she was born. Why did you not find her day dress before you stripped her of her night one? Good question. You could always ask her where it is. What a fool you are! The princess, noting your panic, giggles and says, "Are you looking for my dress?" "Yes," you reply, your face flushed. "That is what you were doing." "I thought so. I did wonder, before you started undressing me, why you'd not asked where it was. Maybe it slipped your mind." It had slipped your mind, yes, to your shame. You were too busy trying not to fixate upon the princess's bared skin to think about how best to conceal it. "My dress is in my armoire," the princess says, glancing over to the aforementioned piece of furniture. That armoire of hers is an intricately carved wooden structure, large enough, or so you estimate, to fit inside it enough dresses to attire a whole ballroom's worth of princesses. "I'd like to wear my red one. It's my favorite. Would you be a dear and fetch it for me?" "I don't want to rush you, but it is rather cold in here, especially when I'm still naked." She raises a good point. You turn away from the princess and make your way to her armoire. Once there, you open its wooden doors and peruse the clothes hanging within it. It is just as you expected. Inside that wardrobe lies numerous dresses, all of them finely sewn and decorated with no shortage of ribbons, lace, and iridescent pearls. You find the princess's red dress soon enough, then hurry to her side. With your spoils in hand, you hurry to dress her, concealing once again the princess's pale skin beneath layers upon layers of soft red velvet. She's easier to look at now, you think, with her skin concealed. That might have been the most nerve-wracking task you have ever had to accomplish, even more so than your perilous escape through the foggy forest. Why, it seems a small miracle you can still remember how to breathe. Down bad. Ah, that is so much better. Thank you, dear one, for your help. You've not been here for a full day, but I already wonder what I'd do without you. Shyly, you assure the princess that you did nothing really, nothing beyond your job. You did not do anything incredible. And in any case, being complimented by somebody so pretty is embarrassing. Ah, don't be like that. I want to compliment you. Why shouldn't I? When you've been so helpful. It's rude not to. And anyway, I think you're very pretty too. Aww. Oh my. I need to drink some water, but... Thank you so very much, Yagi, for redeeming that slightly retroactive hydrate. I am hydrating presently. Thank you. I'll hydrate all the more for your redeem. I don't have a proper water bottle. I drink out of a jug. I really should buy a proper water bottle. I had one, but it broke. It sprung a leak for no good reason. I'd recommend Iron Flask. I'll look that up. Iron Flask. I'm assuming they're not super expensive. I do have to budget every month. But yeah, I'll look it up. Thank you. Actually, let me just put that in Google so I don't forget. Lots of extra lids and stuff too. I don't understand it, but I want it. So yeah, I'll look at that after I stream. Oh my. Your face flushes from this, more deeply than ever before. You ought to count yourself lucky, really. What with all of this excessive blushing, that the princess does not seem to possess any vampiristic tendencies. In before. You're making yourself quite the easy target. Now, the princess declares, why don't we go for a walk? It's a nice enough day, and I get so very bored of being cooped up inside. You can't think of any particular objections to raise to this remark, and you think that the princess might have a point. The castle, though expansive, is somewhat stifling. The walls are so very thick, they put you in mind of a crypt. Oh, speaking of which, I watched some Tales from the Crypt earlier. I'm gonna watch more after my stream. I'm looking forward to it. With your acquiescence assured, the princess quits her chamber, her posture elegant and her gait unhurried. She seems not to walk as she navigates her way through the seemingly endless hallways of her home, but to float like a cloud. The hem of her dress swishes around her legs, and her hair shifts like a shroud. The castle's courtyard, meanwhile, is sadly lacking in comparison to the princess's beauty. The courtyard is fenced in by the castle's walls, which look, in the stark midday light, tall and imposing, faceless soldiers standing sentinel. Though the sun is out, it is not particularly bright, and neither is it particularly warm. The courtyard itself, meanwhile, is in a state of disarray. The flower beds are in shambles, all overgrown with weeds. It is all rather depressing. The princess's castle might be grand in scale. The courtyard itself is simple, hemmed in to a claustrophobic degree, like a coffin. The princess, however, seems not to share your dolorous mood. I know how to pronounce words, they just catch me off guard, okay? She instead looks elated by her newfound surroundings, her smile unwavering. She gambols about like a lamb, flitting hither and thither as she examines the weed-infested flower beds. It'd be nice if the gardener wasn't, like, dead or something. Wouldn't it? Her frolicking comes to a cease, however, by a bush. One is full of bright red roses. Oh, how very pretty! Do you think they are gorgeous, dear one? Do you not think they are gorgeous, dear one? The flowers are not too disappointing, you suppose. They make for a fine spectacle, in fact. A welcome splash of color when contrasted with the dullness and the drabness which permeates the rest of the courtyard. Though the other flowers in their beds are wilted, withered things, it is not so for these roses. They are a rich, bright red, like the blood. No, sorry. They are a rich, bright red, just like blood, their heads so full they seem almost to droop beneath the weight of their own engorged petals. They are pretty, in a sense. But there is something unsettling about them, too. Something that is almost obscene. Yeah, flowers are pretty gross. TBH. How did those roses become so very red? What has been sustaining them? Could it be possible that these roses have been draining the life from the other flowers which are struggling to grow within the garden? It is a fanciful thought, but... Oh, they are simply divine! Looking at these roses always lifts my spirits. They really are my most favorite flowers. I simply must pick some of them. Perhaps I can use them to decorate my bedchamber. I could use a bit of color. The princess reaches out so as to pluck one of the roses free from its resting place among its brethren. You watch her, your breath bated, anxious that this gesture might result in perforated flesh and bright red blood. But the princess is not as clumsy as you fear. Of course she is not. Who did you think she was? You? Rather than worrying about other people, you would be better served if you worried more about yourself. The princess holds her newly pilfered rose to her nose and inhales, her eyelids falling shut as the flower's sweet scent washes over her. A few moments of silence pass. Then the princess begins to toy with the petals which adorn the flower's crown. Now, let me see. I wonder what fate has in store for me. She loves me? The princess plucks a petal from the flower's overburdened head. She loves me not. The princess continues with this childish incantation, all the while stripping her rose slowly and methodically of its petals. These petals flutter about the princess like a bloody snow. The princess's voice, meanwhile, echoes throughout the courtyard, even more melodic than the strains of a pianola. That's, I guess it's a musical term. I would imagine it would relate to piano. I don't know musical terms. There are a lot of terms I don't know, as I didn't actually go to school. She loves me? She loves me not. She loves me? She loves me not. The princess's fingers hover over the final petal which crowns her nearly denuded flower. I consider myself somewhat well-read. Or... no. Yeah, I'm somewhat well-read. Pianolas are a type of player piano, so it plays music for you. Oh, like when I click the certain buttons on this little shitty keyboard I have. I imagine it's a similar concept to the song samples. Obviously predating it by quite a bit. Without touching it even, it uses pneumatic tubes and hydraulics. Oh my god, that's so cool. I'm gonna put that in Google too. Not just to look at later. Yes. All right. Back to the story. Then, with a triumphant smile, she declares, "She loves me! I knew it!" You watch the princess bemused. No, sorry. You watch the princess amused by her girlish good cheer. Bemused means something entirely different, which I am aware of. Yes, I know words. The little mantra she has been reciting is one that you are familiar with. The girls at the conservatoire also used to engage in this little game, the younger ones at least, who believed that a fairy tale prince would whisk them away. You might have participated in this game yourself when you were a child yourself, but you never pinned your hopes and dreams on a handsome prince. Your interest in princess has always been minimal. When it comes to fair princesses, though, well, that is a different matter altogether, isn't it? Pleasantly, you ask the princess whose love it is she wishes to court, a query which makes the princess giggle. "Oh, dear one, who else would I be thinking of? Naturally, I was thinking of you." Naturally. She says it so easily, as though you ought to have suspected as much, and indeed, part of you did. You wanted to believe, yet part of you was afraid to. You do not want to be arrogant enough to assume that the princess might care for your affections. You begin to blush, your cheeks almost as red as the roses, while the princess laughs. She laughs and she laughs and she laughs, her voice clear and sweet like a nightingale's song, as though you are the funniest thing she has ever seen. That brought to mind memories. He turns himself into a pickle. Funniest shit I ever seen. Imagine I put a sarcasm tag on that, because it wasn't that funny when he turned himself into a pickle. It wasn't that funny. He never liked being laughed at when he dwelt within the walls of the conservatoire, but it is different with her. I saw a Rick Build-A-Bear today. So cursed. That sounds fucking cursed. Give me a moment. You have not known her for all that long, but you are already entranced by her. Ensnared. Uh-oh. You did it again, didn't you? Didn't you, protagonist? She has you wrapped around her little finger. Oh my! The princess's laughter tapers off into a series of giggles as, smiling, she wipes her eyes with the back of her hands. was quite the amusing diversion, but I've just had an idea. You look at the princess curiously. What idea? You can't tell? You cannot even begin to guess. I just thought that all this watching must be boring you. The princess says, tossing the rose's stripped stem carelessly to the ground. You should give it a try. Please do. It'll be fun. The princess retrieves a second rose from the bushes, deftly snapping it between her fingers, and offers it to you. I want to see what fate has in store for you, too. You smile at the princess, touched by her enthusiasm. Indulging in childish games like this might not be the best use of your time, but the princess looks so very determined, you would not wish to hurt her. What could be the harm, really, in consenting? The only real casualty of this game will be one singular rose, the rose that the princess is holding towards you. You reach out, meaning to accept the princess's offering, but... Oh no! You're clumsy. And you seize the stem of the rose with a touch too much strength. The head of the rose might be pretty, but there is more to a rose than its bright red flowers. Roses have thorns too, a fact you are now being painfully reminded of. Pain flares through your fingers, and you gasp. You take a step back, the hem of your skirt swishing around your ankles. Your finger is stinging, and so are your eyes. You ought to have been more careful. Why were you so stupid? You poor dear, you're bleeding, the princess exclaims, alarmed. Then she frowns. This is all my fault. If I'd not suggested this silly game, this never would have happened. Please, let me take care of you. And how is she going to do that? Perhaps she means to take a handkerchief from her pocket, with which she might staunch your wounds. Princesses tend to carry handkerchiefs around with them, don't they? Silken ones? How else would they give brave knights tokens of their gratitude once these aforementioned knights have successfully slain dragons? Princesses can hardly dispense kisses as favors. It simply is not done. That is what you have always thought, but please hold still. This might sting a bit. The princess is anything but ordinary. Rather than take a handkerchief out of her pocket, she, instead, encloses her white, slender fingers around your hands. Carefully, as though she is handling a precious object, she raises her hand. Her eyes are fixed all the while on the beads of startlingly crimson blood which are oozing luridly from your wounds. She licks her lowest lip. She licks her lower lip. Then she dips her head. God damn it. I knew it. She's gonna eat you, Protag. She parts her mouth with a soft sigh, which borders on the sensuous. Sensuous. She slips your injured digit between her teeth. Well, time to get ate. So much for princesses not dispensing kisses as tokens of appreciation. This might not be a conventional kiss, but feels intimate regardless. Almost startlingly so. The princess's lips, which are as red as any rose, are enclosed around your index finger. You can feel the warmth of the princess's mouth about your skin and the wetness of it. Say goodbye to your blood. These sensations make your whole body quake. You did not expect this. Tremulously, in a voice which wavers, you ask the princess what it is she is doing. Oh, the princess glances up at you, her mouth still enclosed around your finger. Didn't I tell you? I'm trying to stop the bleeding. Yes, you gathered as much, but... Is there a problem? I'm not making you uncomfortable, am I? It is not, you say, that she is making you uncomfortable, per se. But this is rather awkward. You did not expect it, that is all. And is she not worried that it is unhygienic? Unhygienic, yes. That is how you pronounce the word. Unhygienic? The princess blinks. She's the very picture of innocence, which is funny, really, given your finger is still nestled against her tongue. I don't know what you mean by that exactly. But I've heard this is the best way to take care of cuts. My nursemaid used to do this for me when I was a child. It's what you're supposed to do. And, you ask, your voice catching in your throat, did her nursemaid keep staunching her wounds with her mouth when she grew older? Well, no. My nursemaid was dismissed when I was 8 years old. That's the normal way of things. I had my ladies' maids to look after me then. Oh, very interesting. And did they never clean her wounds like this? And did they ever clean her wounds like this? No, the princess says, smiling mischievously. Because I'm not clumsy enough to cut myself, silly. Now that was quite the sharp retort. You did not expect it. Your face turns even redder, if such a thing is possible, though this might perhaps be to your benefit. With some luck, all of your blood will flow to your face, rather than to your finger, and your bleeding will stop. Has it stopped? Your injury was not a deep one. There should be no need for the princess to keep on suckling, but she still is. You are being eaten. You're being eaten. You are not accustomed to intimacy of this nature. It is making your heart flutter. If the princess knew what her mouth was doing to you, you are sure she would not be so very familiar. You feel quietly, crushingly confident that she would scorn you for your feelings and deem them unnatural. It would not be the first time. Yo, she has alternating black and red nails. Well, except... No, between one red and one black, I can't tell what color it is. At this point, you should be used to rejection. It still stings, though. It stings much, much more than any thorn on any rose ever could. The days pass, following your misadventures in the rose garden, in a relaxed, unhurried sort of manner. Your mad dash through the forest is beginning to feel like a distant memory, so much so, you can scarcely recall the raw, naked fear you once felt as you fled for your life. There is no running to be had while you are working for the princess. You would have nowhere else to run, and in any event, there is no longer any reason to run. The shadows which once tormented you have, at long last, begun to recede. You can scarcely recall, as you lay in your bed, the petty cruelties you were subjected to by your classmates at the conservatoire. They no longer matter. Your attention is focused not upon yourself, but upon the princess. The more time you spend with her, the more you come to care for her. You have become quite besotted with her, but you are yet to realize it. Well, I never. How very ignorant can one girl be of her own feelings? The princess is not half so ignorant as you are, though, despite having spent her whole life within the palace's walls. The weight of her own feelings are not unknown to her. And during one stormy night, she chooses to make them known to you. Uh-oh. You were in the princess's chambers later. Perhaps than you ought to be. Later than is strictly appropriate. It is dark outside, and there is little save the light of the moon to alleviate it. That, and the fire which crackles in the grate. God damn it. Really challenging art visual novels. Really challenging for me to just pronounce things correctly, read things non-stupidly. So I don't get in the way of the text. That is a real challenge. You have only just finished stoking that very fire, and now you rise. If I do it more often, I'm sure it'll come easier. Reading things like this. I do enjoy it. You look to the princess, who is lying in her bed, and you bid her a good night, as you have many nights past. I'm happy you're having fun. With a neat curtsy, you turn to leave, but the princess's plaintive voice gives you pause. Wait, dear one, do not go, not just yet. Perplexed, you pause, then look back at the princess. Though she is smiling, her expression is unusually wan. Is she all right? Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. It's just nights like this, you know, which make me feel a little out of sorts. And what, you ask, does she mean by that? Only that it is very cold and very dark. And it is very windy besides. I'm afraid there'll be a storm later. It was awfully cloudy earlier, when we went out for a walk. When we went out for our walk. The princess is not mistaken about that. The sky, when the pair of you promenaded about the gardens earlier, was gray and steely, the wind bitingly cold. You can hear the wind rattling mournfully against the panes in the princess's bedchamber. The princess's castle is built of stone, and it is well fortified, but even with the fire, it is rather cold. You did not like to think of how much chillier, by comparison, it will be in your humble bedchamber, which is not fortunate enough to have its own fireplace. I thought I saw one. I guess it was just, like, for decoration. It might sound childish, but I've always found it hard to sleep on stormy nights like this. They make me feel uncomfortable. You look at the princess with no small degree of sympathy. No longer clad in her bright red dress, she looks oddly, uncommonly vulnerable. Will she really be all right, all alone in her oversized bed, in her high-ceilinged bedchamber? You know it's silly of you to contemplate such a query. Why would she not be all right? There's nobody in the castle to hurt her, but still you fret for her. As her lady's maid, it is your job to fret for her. You would never want your mistress to feel unhappy. You ask the princess what it is she would have you do, and the princess perks up at this, pleased, perhaps, that you are taking the initiative. I wouldn't like to take up too much of your time when it is so very late, but would you mind sitting with me a little while longer and reading to me? Provided you can, of course. Question mark? Sorry. This is a fair enough question, but your pride bristles regardless. Hastily, you reassure the princess that yes, of course you could read. You were a poor student in many aspects at the conservatoire, but you had something of a gift when it came to the literary arts. Reading books is all you have ever been any good at. Mood. Oh, I see. I suppose I should have known. You're so incredible. I sometimes wonder if there's anything you can't do. The princess's high praise makes you flush. Awkwardly, you look away. Being able to read, you reassure her, is not such a great feat. Perhaps it isn't, where you hail from, but it is here. Very few of my old servants could read, and they certainly couldn't read the books that I like. My voice is fucking going. She's so cheeky, yeah. She's so cheeky, her voice is hard to do. This piques your interest. Peaks? I don't know. Is it pikes or peaks? I never figured that out. Or if I had, I forgot. I am not so voracious a reader as some would think. Peaks. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, that makes more sense looking at the spelling, actually. Peaks makes more sense. And it works with all the puns and stuff, too. Which, I'm not good at making puns, but I'm sure that is in a pun or two. Peak sounding like peak, but like the completely other word peak. Intrigued, you ask the princess what books exactly she likes. Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm fond of fairy tales, you see. Old ones from centuries past. I have a collection of them here, the princess says, indicating a book on her bedside table as thick as a mortuary slab. If you take a peek over that peak, you may find something to pique your interest. I loved that. Thank you. I'm a long-standing enabler of puns. I wish I could make them. I mean, I could make them if I put in a little effort. I'm sure I could make them, but I don't want to put in that effort. This book is old, though, and the bindings are weak. The page is brittle. The writing woefully old-fashioned. Absolutely, me too. I had an NPC in D&D who used them relentlessly. Drove the players mad. Excellent. Keep up the good work. I didn't trust any of my past servants with the book, but I think you would do a good job breathing life into those old stories. Would you mind reading to me for just a brief while? Please, dear one. Oh, please. The princess's request seems a simple one, expressed sweetly. So much so, you see no reason to refuse her. Whoops. God damn it. You take a seat beside the princess, upon her luxurious bed, which stinks beneath your weight. I almost read that as stink. I almost read that as... I almost read that as stinks. Oh my god. Then retreat. Okay. 1 second. When you then retrieve the leather-bound book, which is resting... No. No. One of those thens is just redundant. Then you retrieve the leather-bound book, which is resting upon her bedside table, and spread it open. The pages of the book are very brittle, like the princess said, and the bindings of the book are loose. That's so sad. I really like books. I don't read as much as I probably ought to. But... well, no, this is reading. This counts as reading. It's a visual novel, okay. I guess you could say I don't read as much as I would like to. Video games exist. But yeah, I really like books. Like physical books. I love the way they smell. And the feeling of flipping through their pages. Even, like, with particular books, it feels good, even to just run your fingers across a page. The texture of the paper beneath your fingertips. It really depends on the paper, but yeah. I have quite a little collection of books. But I don't have any kind of bookcase to decorate with them. So they're just here and there. Most of them are in one spot, but a few others are here and there. I'll be right back again. Most of my bags, most of my, did I say bags? I mean books. Most of my books are in a kind of tote, cheap tote that I bought specifically to store my books in. I have a few that are just out and lying around though. Give me a sec. You can feel in the heft of the book's manifold pages the weight of the ages concealed within it. How old is this book? Perhaps it is as old as the castle in which it resides. It is with a quiet voice hesitant at first, that you begin to read to the princess a tale of courtly love which culminates in a lavish wedding ceremony. All the while, as you read, the princess listens to you, enraptured, painting, or so it seems, upon your every word. Once you reach the final phrase, embossed upon the pages of this aged tome, and they lived happily ever after, the princess sighs as though this tale has touched her very soul. Would that there was a handsome prince to marry me, she says somberly. Or better yet, a beautiful princess. At this point, I think I would even settle for a lowly scullery maid. Damn. Stings. You blush at this idle remark and mumble, softly, that this would not be proper. The storm outside is still squalling. The thirst is real. Storm outside is still squalling. And you have never been one to raise your voice. You do not expect, therefore, that the princess will overhear you, but she does. She observes you, her head resting upon her pillows, and says, "And what would be the problem with that, As my maid, shouldn't my happiness come before any silly ideas of propriety?" "Well, of course," you reply, "but for a princess to marry a scullery maid..." "You're still hung up about that?" the princess titters. "Don't pay it too much heed. I'm just talking to myself." As if anything like that would ever happen, when there is no priest around who could officiate it. You think there are greater issues with the princess's plan than the lack of a priest, though she does present a good point. The castle is an empty one. Even if the princess were to find somebody that she loves, there would be nobody to make such a wedding official. It doesn't need to be official. You cannot help but feel like you have avoided a good deal of nuisance. But by the same token, do you not feel a touch disappointed? Well, never mind. "That was a nice story," Princess says, "but I'm not sleepy yet. And it's still storming outside. Won't you read me one more?" "You would not mind," you reply, "but it is getting late. You really ought to return to your own chamber." "I know, but can't you find it in your hearts to read one more story to me? Just one. You can choose a short one, I won't complain." You have some doubts about that, but as before, you cannot resist the princess's demands. It is not, you think, because she is a princess, though that is, of course, a part of it, but because she is, well, radiant. You would not, you think, as you turn to the next story recounted in this aged compendium, wants to upset her. You would rather cut out your own tongue. You read another story to the princess, which is of a similar vein to the last. Hello, Pi! Thank you so very much for popping in and saying hi. Yeah, I'm glad to see you. I hope I can call you Pi. That is the easy thing I get from the name. My leg just spasmed when I leaned back. Impossible adventures culminating at their close in a happy marriage. This tale delights the princess just as much as the tale you read prior, and she begs for another, then another. Oh, damn. Oh, fuck. One bedroom story soon becomes 5. And even then, when the candles which flicker on the princess's bedside are close to guttering out, the princess is not satisfied. You must call me by my full name, the one that starts with, Aww. That is a lot of numbers. I'm not good with numbers. Or you can just call me Pi. Thank you. I would happily just call you Pi. It's a cute name. And it has no numbers in it. Yay. Like a grasping, greedy child, she has never heard of moderation. When she wants something, she seeks to glut herself with it. Her only request that of more. If she were less comely, perhaps her inability to adhere to the word no would be seen as a character defect. Pretty privilege. The princess is very comely, however, and so, when she makes her next request, you almost agree offhand, without considering the ramifications. I think I could go to sleep now, but the storm is still raging. I feel lonely on my own in this big empty bed, so... I know! The princess's eyes light up like the night sky in a thunderstorm. Why don't you sleep with me? Uh-oh. You stare at the princess, your eyes wide as goose eggs. Slowly, you blink. Then, just as slowly, you bid her to repeat herself. Didn't you hear me? The princess giggles. Maybe you've been so busy cleaning up after me, you've neglected to clean out your own ears. I said, dear one, would you like to sleep with me? If that is the question she truly means to ask, then it is easy enough to answer. Of course you would like to sleep with her. It would be an honor. But would it really be all right if you accept such an invitation? It must be a gross breach of protocol, surely, for a lowly domestic such as yourself to share a bed with a princess. You sit upon the princess's bedside, fretting while she observes with wide, beseeching eyes. Holy shit. I hope the story draws to a close soon. I do want to look into more stories in this VN. However, I'm being all slow with it, trying to read everything, trying to voice everything over. So, I'm pretty tired. She is waiting. Well, what's the matter, dear one? Why do you tarry so? Could it be? The princess's lower lip begins to tremble. Don't you want to lie with me after all? The sorrow present in the princess's voice and in her face makes you feel awfully guilty. Hurriedly, you console her. You tell her in no uncertain terms that if she truly wishes to partake in your company, then you have no qualms with it. Why would you? Well then, don't just stand there dilly-dallying, silly. Come and join me. Come! And that is what you do, after returning briefly to your own chamber to change into your nightgown. Once dressed, you waste no time in returning to your impetuous princess's side. She is already lying in her glorious four-poster bed, awaiting your return as though you are a knight-errant gone away to slay some wicked dragon. The princess giggles when she sees you. In your haste to change, you have made a hash of the buttons. And she bids you to come closer. Let me fix that for you, silly. Oh no, you say. I couldn't possibly let you do that. I am but a servant after all. Should it not be your job to dress her? Maybe so, the princess says. But I don't mind a bit of role reversal. It makes things more fun. You try a few more refutations, but in vain. The princess summarily discards all of them. Whoops, goddammit. Quite at the princess's mercy. She might even be more stubborn than you are. You capitulate to her demands. You let the princess unbutton the front of your nightdress, then rebutton them, so the fabric of your plain gown is drawn shut. Satisfied with her handiwork, she has very elegant hands. The princess draws back and pats the mattress beside her. Now, come in. It must be horribly cold out there, but these sheets are warm. Coyly, the princess smiles. And so am I. Uh-oh. You feel warm yourself as you slide into the bed beside the princess. Your face is as red as the gown the princess so often wears, as red as the roses in the castle's grounds. All the while, your heart is fluttering. Does the princess know what an effect she is having on you? Surely she must. How could any woman be so blind? There, the princess exclaims, once your body is lying beside hers. This is much better. Do you feel cozy now, dear one? You swallow and, with a shaky voice, you reassure her. Yes, you are cozy. You are quite cozy indeed. Very good. The storm might be raging outdoors, but it can't get us here. I know when I'm with you, I'll be safe. It is strange, but... The princess reaches out, then takes your hand in hers, twining your fingers together like a chain. Uh-oh. That's like fucking 7th base right there. When I'm with you, I feel so very light. It's as though nothing in the world can hurt me. You make me feel safe, so I want to make you feel safe too. That's so sweet. I'll take very, very good care of you, I promise. You return her smile with one of your own, touched by her thoughtfulness, though something about her promise does make you wonder. Should it not be your job to look after her as a domestic? In a way, the princess replies after a pause. But you've been taking good care of me already. Now I need to return the favor. As a princess, I'm supposed to look after my vassals. It's all part of the job description. You were unaware that being a princess came with a job description. You thought the profession came with far fewer written responsibilities and far fewer forms to sign than, say, becoming a doctor, or an astrophysicist, or a mathematics professor, or a mathematics professor. I'm beginning to slur my words. That's content, though, isn't it? You tell the princess this, sleepily, and she laughs. You do say some funny things, dear one. I think you must be tired. Rest your head. You've been working so hard. I think you deserve it. Yes, you think, only half conscious. You think you deserve it too. You've been working hard for a long time. I've been running for even longer. But now, at long last, feel like you can let your fears go. Your eyelids begin to droop, your body beleaguered by a sudden, all-consuming fatigue. And in a quiet, understated sort of way, your consciousness is conveyed to Morpheus's kingdom. Your sleep is a deep one, despite the storm which rages outdoors. The wind is howling like a couple of wildcats, both locked in a vicious and bloodthirsty bout to the death. But you do not hear it. Swaddled by the warm blankets about you, and soothed by the princess's presence, you are immune from all the ills of the world. When you are with the princess, you feel safe, secure, and... yes, you even feel loved. It is a pity, then, that these feelings do not last for very long. You know that something is wrong, catastrophically so, when the moment you open your eyes. Your thoughts are hopelessly jumbled, but you're certain that when you fell asleep, it was in a bed, a nice warm bed no less, beneath soft, comfortable sheets. You are not lying in bed right now, though. You are not, in fact, lying at all. You're standing instead against a cold, hard wall made of stone. The curve of your back is pressed against the wall so intimately you can feel its icy chill seeping through the fabric of your nightgown. Your feet, which are bare, are similarly pressed against cold, unfeeling stone. They feel so frigid you cannot help but tremble. You're trembling so much, you can feel your teeth chattering together. They sound like castanets. The sound is almost jaunty as it echoes through your cell, for that is indeed where you are. The princess's bedchamber, wherein you fell asleep, is a thing now of the past. You are standing instead, you realize, with a sharp start, in the cell of some great underground dungeon. You swallow, and when you do, you can taste something bitter on your tongue. Your stomach is beginning to churn with anxiety. In the dungeon already. Things just move so fast. Hey, who did those skeletons belong to? You feel like you are going to be sick, a feeling which wells up inside you to a staggering degree when you catch notice of the stench. You are not, you realize, the only one in the dungeon. There are others here, others attired in the simple black and white outfits of servants, which look much like the dress that you once wore. The others who are with you, however, in this expansive cell, manacled to the walls, are in no fit state to speak to you, nor to tell you of their plights. They are all unfeeling, unseeing, unbreathing. They are all dead. Hell yeah. Music. Let's take it in for a moment. Everyone's in a dungeon lately. I guess it is October. You cannot approach these servants to check their pulses, for you yourself are restrained. But even if you could, there would be no point. There is no way any human could survive the wounds which have been inflicted upon these sad, slumped bodies. Over there, you see a woman slumped, the front of her once white apron stained with blackish blood. There's a gaping wound in her stomach, one through which her entrails have half escaped, in some sort of burgundy goop, which might once have been pale pink. There's another woman slumped beside the first of a smaller stature. She is skinnier. Maybe she is not a woman after all, but an adolescent like yourself. She might even be younger. The girl's age, or lack of, did not preclude her attacker from inflicting upon her horrors, alas, for her body is even more mutilated than the first. Her body is peppered with some more wheals. Her body is peppered with even more wheals, and her face has been half smashed in. Only one eye remains, staring fixedly at the wall opposite her. In the ruined remains of what was once her skull. Over there you see a woman who is missing both her arms and her lower jaw. Over there you see another who is missing her entire lower half. Where have her legs gone? You have no idea. The injuries inflicted upon these bodies are ghastly, but their advanced decay is enough to turn your stomach. You know not how long these carcasses have been lying down here, but they have begun to putrefy. You fear a similar fate might befall you, should you stay here. You need to escape. Fitfully, you struggle against the manacles which bind you, but alas, it is no use. You cannot free yourself from the walls. Your restraints are much too strong, and you are much too weak. Panic rises up in your throat, cold and icy, while terror seizes your heart, this too glacial. It is obvious that escape is impossible, but still you squirm and writhe like a rat caught in a firestorm. There is little point, however, in your struggles. You succeed in nothing as you attempt to free yourself, save making the steel manacles dig into your abused wrists more sharply than ever. You gasp. That hurts. Well, you ought to have known that would not work. The very definition of insanity is, you know, performing a set action over and over again, hoping for a different response. In that sense, perhaps one could argue optimism is not so very different from insanity. Now, that is an interesting point to consider. Would you not agree? No, evidently not. You're still trying to escape, you foolish girl. As if that will do you any good. The clangorous rattling of your steely restraints is rather starting to get on my nerves. You're making enough noise to raise the dead down here in your dark, dingy cell, and all your screaming is hardly helping matters. I wish you would cease this infernal racket, but I know you will not. Nothing I say could ever get through to you. Not that you have ever listened to me in the first place. Perhaps you would listen to her, though. Is she not your kind, considerate mistress? Look now, she has come all this way, into the dark depths of the castle's cold and inhospitable dungeon to see you. Is that not kind of her? My poor neck is starting to ache. Oh, dear one, the princess trills, entering the dungeon with a series of light, lilting steps. It would seem that you have finally awoken. How are you? Based on all that infernal racket you've been making, it would seem like you have no shortage of energy. Balefully, you turn your head, so as to meet the eyes of the princess. She is standing but a few paces away, beneath the roughly hewn stone arch which bids one entry, but rarely ever an exit, to the dungeons. The dungeons are dull and drab, but the princess is wearing her favorite red dress. It is so bright and brilliant that for a few moments, it hurts to look at her. Once, the red of the princess's outfit made you think of romance. Now, it makes you think of violence. You must forgive me for leaving you down here so long. That was unfair of me. I did think of waiting here with you, by your side until you awoke, but... Once again, the princess giggles. A light, airy giggle which does not at all suit the situation in which you have found yourself. A dungeon is not a fit place, after all, for a princess. It is horribly cold here, and so very drab. And there is nowhere nice and soft to lay my head. I could have brought my pillows down from my bed, I suppose, and my blankets. But then they would have gotten dirty, and that would be a disaster. I need to be more careful. I won't have anybody left to clean up after my messes soon. Not when I've dispatched of you. Once again, the princess laughs. Her laughter is light and lilting, like the chiming of a silvery bell. But it does little to alleviate your concern. If anything, it makes you even more alarmed. Did she say she meant to dispatch of you? Yes, that's right. Could he not tell? I thought you might have figured it out already. After waking up in a dungeon, silly. Still smiling, the princess takes another step towards you. Would that you could. You would cringe away from her, but you cannot. You're completely powerless. The princess reaches out and places a hand upon your cheek. Her skin is very white, and though her touch is cool, it is less so than the frigid air of the dungeon. Though your body is aching, the princess's touch is gentle, and you find yourself leaning into it subconsciously. You wish she would keep holding you. You wish she would keep touching you. You luxuriate in her kindness as best you can. But though the princess's caresses are tender, your circumstances rather undermine them. How can you relax like this? Ah, you're such a good girl, the princess says, in a cajoling sort of voice, as one might address a cat. You've been so lovely to me while we've been together. I really couldn't ask for a better servant. I feel as though I've been spoiled. Why then, you ask her, is she doing this? Improbable though it sounds, she must be the one who chained you up. There's nobody else in the castle who could have committed such a feat. Everybody else is dead. Why, yes! How very astute of you! I was the one who orchestrated all of this naturally. Naturally, she says, as though her betrayal is a matter of course. Naturally. Why, you ask? Is this so natural to her? What does she mean to do with you? Oh, only what I've done to all my other servants. I have experience with this sort of thing, so please don't worry. I'll take good care of you. And by take good care of, she means... Naturally, I'll kill you. There it is again, that word, which seems grossly inappropriate given all which has transpired. Naturally. There's nothing natural about this. Do you not think so? The princess examines you, expression ponderous. It is natural to me, even if it isn't natural to other people. This just feels right. Imprisoning her servants in the dungeon and letting them die? Yes! Exactly! There's a bit more to it than that, though. Oh, of course there is. I like you, dear one, Princess says, in a voice which sounds uncommonly serious. You have been good to me, like I said, and kind. For that, I will be eternally appreciative. You have been so good to me, in fact, that simply being with you is not enough. Not anymore. Your company can no longer content me. I'm a greedy, selfish girl, you see. The princess's smile widens into something sinister, her eyes flashing with a fiendish fervor you have never before witnessed. And I don't want to feel you beside me. I want to feel you inside me. Well, of all the things your charming captive could have said, we did not expect that. The princess, perhaps noticing your confusion, begins to giggle. A giggle even lighter than... Meringue? And just as airy. It is just as inoffensive. Meringue. Thank you. Even lighter than meringue. I see, I see. I can see that you don't understand, dear one, but you aren't the only one. My last lady's maid said that too. Wanly, the princess sighs. A beleaguered woe-is-me sigh which makes her look even younger than the scant handful of years she truly possesses. Aww. I want pies and pastries now, god damn it. I am hungry. I'll see what there is I can scrounge up after this. It's fine. Don't worry. No, I am determined to finish this, wherever this is going, before I eat. And the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. I thought that you, at least, might be able to appreciate my point of view, but perhaps not. I don't think it should be too complicated to grasp, really. But maybe my way of looking at the world is a little bit unique. That's what my nurse always used to say, at least, when she still had the breath to speak, of course. You look at the princess. Where else is there for you to look, really? Your eyes are fixed on her face. She's still smiling, but there's something sinister about her smile. Perhaps, in your anxious state, you're only imagining that there is something sinister about her smile. It is easy to see things which do not really exist when your surroundings are festooned in shadows. In actuality, however, the princess does not look any different to how she usually does. Neither is she acting any differently to how she usually acts. She has not changed. It is only your perspective of her that has changed. Tremulously, you ask the princess what she means, a question the princess is only too happy to answer. It's simple, really. Like I said, you were wondering, weren't you, why there weren't any guards or any servants in the castle when you first arrived here? The question had crossed your mind, yes. You're sure that the princess said her ministers sent them away, though? Is that a lie? I wasn't being wholly truthful, no. I thought you would be afraid of me if you knew what had actually happened, and I didn't want that. I wanted you to stay with me. My ministers didn't send anybody away because I don't have any ministers. I dispatched of them too. Did she know? You suppose you ought not be surprised, but you still shudder regardless. My ministers weren't very much fun, I'm afraid. They had a lot of ideas about what I should and shouldn't do after my parents died. The princess stares at you, her eyes wide like black holes, empty, yawning abysses. So I killed them. I killed my servants, too, though I did a more thorough job with them than I did my ministers. I did not care for my ministers, you see. They were all fusty old men, but I did love my servants. I loved my ladies' maids, and my undermaids, and my scullery maids, and my housekeeper, and my cooks, and my large retinue of retainers. They were like my family. They raised me in my parents' absence, and I adored them. They were so very dear to me, and I had no real choice. I had to eat them. Does that follow? Of course. I knew you were going to eat her from the very beginning. Not logically, no. Why? You asked the princess, your voice trembling. Would you eat the people that you love? It seems a poor way to repay them for their kindness. Well, why wouldn't you eat the people that you love? I don't think there would be any greater way of showcasing one's gratitude, unless you have any better ideas. Then they stay with you forever. True. They become a part of your makeup. They're digested, and maybe they become your muscles, and whatnot. You weren't expecting the princess to turn the tables on you quite like this. And, dumbfounded, you stare at her. You know precious little about love yourself, so it is hard for you to form a convincing rebuttal, but you muster up a few token arguments. I, for one, like people that are alive. Okay, this suddenly looked interesting. Hello, Davy. You tell the princess that eating people isn't very nice, and neither is it strictly legal. A better way to show your gratitude to your servants would be with increased wages or increased holidays. The princess listens to your arguments, her expression astute, like a student poised to take notes in a very important lecture. Once you are finished, however, her concentration fails her. Her shoulders begin to shake, but it is not with remorse for what she has done. Instead, she is laughing. Oh, dear one, that is very funny. But why should I care about the law? I am a princess. One day, I'll be the queen. I am the law. Now get in my belly. That is a good point. But would eating people not turn her subjects against her? What subjects? I'm no fool, you know, no matter how I might act, and I know what happens beyond the castle's walls. I know all about the plague. Once, I might have had a populace to govern, but they're all gone now. I'm a princess in nothing but name only, a monarch without any subjects. Don't you think that's sad? I know I do. It's so woefully lonely. If she feels lonely, then why has she been so systematically slaughtering all of her domestics? It doesn't make a lick of sense. Perhaps not to you. Gently, the princess caresses your cheek. But I shouldn't judge you too harshly. As much as I like you, dear one, you are a commoner. Perhaps you can't understand the intricacies of my thoughts. Privately, you doubt that anybody would be able to understand the intricacies of the princess's thought process, largely because it is unreasonable. How cold is it outside, I wonder? Oh. It is a little bit colder than it felt. I probably shouldn't have my fan on. But anyway. You do not say that, though. Instead, you ask her the only question you can think to ask, with your weary throat, which is sore from shouting. The burr helps me sleep. Yeah, I get that. Why? Oh, thank you so much for the hydrate redeem. And the posture check / stretch. I need those. Also, I'm going to turn down my fan. Thank you, Patty Hayes Jr., for the redeems. They are much appreciated. Yes. Self-care is so very important. Ouch. Owie. Owie. I hurt my toe. Why, you ask? The princess blinks. It's because I don't want you to leave me, of course. Everybody leaves sooner or later, whether they have pledged their allegiance to me or not. That is simply the way of the world. People are fickle and inconstant. Even to me, a monarch. That is why I have decided to eat my servants. I had no choice, you see. It was the only way to ensure that they would never leave me. When you think about it, you should be grateful that I demean myself so. They should be grateful that I would demean myself so, to consume their flesh and blood. I am a magnanimous ruler, you see, and I treat all my subjects equally. I love every single one of you. And naturally, I love you too. You have been so awfully nice to me. And you are very pretty alongside it. If you were a plain, ugly girl, perhaps I would not shower you with affection quite as intense as this. But you've captured my heart. I think you're lovely. So, I'll bestow upon you the highest honor I can conceive of. I want your body to mix with mine. Then we can stay together forever and ever. The princess leans in. You can feel her soft, silken hair brushing against your cheeks. Can feel, too, the warmth of her breath as it ghosts against your skin. It is cold in the dungeon, but the princess's close proximity is, perverse though this might sound, something of a comfort. Her eyes are wide and her lips are so red. Her smile, meanwhile, is so sweet. I've been doing my best to fulfill my role. I've been doing my best to fulfill the role that fate has dictated for me, but really... Princess exhales. Her eyes, which are boring into yours, are like two dark tarns. Finally, you think you can see, in the alarming lack of light, the lack of anything, in the princess's gaze. Sorry, that confused me for a bit. Finally, you think you can see, in the alarming lack of light, the lack of anything, in the princess's gaze, some degree of humanity. It gets so lonely here. But this brief flicker of understanding, which passes between the pair of you, is soon cut short. It said the name! The credits must be fast approaching. The princess dips her head. She parts her lips, which are as red as the petals of a carnivorous flower. You feel the princess's breath against your neck. It is warm in the icy chill of the dungeons, and you shudder from it. For a few moments, you think that this overture of the princess's could be romantic in a way, but this too comes to a swift, merciless close. Nom 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 nom. The princess's mouth is on your neck. Oh my god, she is munching away. I had no idea our protagonist was so crunchy. The princess's teeth, sharp as needles, are in your flesh. The princess is draining your blood. Oh my god, get the fuck down from there. The cat was trying to climb my window. There's nothing to climb to. God. The princess is draining your blood. She is supping on it in great, greedy gobbets, like a hungry animal. One who cannot truly comprehend the harm it is causing. Even as the princess sups from you, her arms twined around your waist, you find you cannot hate her. She is far too unworldly. You are sure, as your consciousness begins to fade, that the princess was being sincere when she spoke of her love for her past servants. This is simply the way the princess expresses this love of hers, a love which is so very abundant, it borders upon the monstrous. It is a love you never thought that you would ever experience. The love of the princesses eclipses anything you have ever known before. It eclipses sanity. It eclipses reason. It eclipses all notions you might once have had of right or wrong. The princess, as you know full well, does not care about such concepts. You have always possessed a stubborn core, nestled beneath your weak-willed exterior. But the princess is even stubborner than you are. In the face of her love, you have met your match. The princess draws back. Desperately, you gasp for air, but she does not give you any quarter. As before, she dips her head, her red lips redder, still with your blood, then splits apart her jaw. Her teeth, which are impossibly, inhumanly sharp, glint wickedly like knives. Then she tears out your throat. Owie! That was my throat. The front of your nightgown was white once. Now it is red. There's so much blood. You can smell it when you inhale, sharper than metal. It is so potent, you can taste it on your tongue. You try to inhale, but this task proves to be beyond you. What with the twin perforations that have ruptured your skin. Your attempted breaths, when they escape your lips, sound like sad, sorry wheezes. Your whole body, meanwhile, feels as though it is on fire. You make for quite the sorry sight indeed. But you will forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Bitch! I made literally one decision in this whole story. I think I will go to the castle. There were no other decisions after that. I've enjoyed this, though. I've enjoyed this quite a bit. A series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. It was literally one decision. Now, what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace, or will you try to fight against it? Fuck! Well, I mean... Nah. No, I don't think so. Wait, yeah, I can. Fuck. I can do both. Fuck. Let us fight. That is a good answer. I must admit, I like it. It is impressive how very defiant you can be, even in a situation as discomforting as this. Now, try not to cry. Keep your chin up. This is but a minor setback in your story. Like all fair maidens, you're deserving of your own happy ending. You need only the strength to try and seek it out. Why don't we give this another go? Just try not to ensnare the hearts of any more monarchs, particularly those with unusual appetites. You are destined for far higher purposes than being an entree, and there are vastly more enjoyable ways to be eaten in this world. Your fate is, once again, in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Oh shit, it goes right back here. It's the same thing, so... Let's look at the other ending. So, as I am ending my stream, let us accept our fate and see what happens. I mean, I don't think anything much will happen. What? Really? You're fine with being eaten alive in a dark, dingy dungeon, than being left to rot? That doesn't sound like a very satisfying ending to this particular narrative. But if that is what you want, then so be it. I do not mind indulging you. That is what I have always done, after all, from the moment we first met. I have dedicated myself tirelessly to answering your questions, and this is no different. Do not be so foolish to think, though, that you can escape me, even if your life's blood has mingled with that of the princesses. I am not going to relinquish my hold upon you that easily. I did pledge, after all, to remain by your side, come what will, fire or flood. I will never leave you. You will never be lonely again. Aww. Wow. That was lovely, wasn't it? And I went longer than I anticipated, but it was a great time. I feel rather encouraged to get the other endings in future streams. Yeah. I like that. Oh yes, I am rating. Would you like to suggest someone who's not random? I don't want to do a random raid. I already have. Yeah, stop audio. Let's see. Type. That's not how you spell Twitch. Oh my god, fine. Oh, it's Ghost Girl. Yeah, I don't even have to look myself now. Let's go. Click through my own chat rules. Which... yeah. It's not how you type raid.